Michigan looks like a normal Midwestern state, but it does not behave like one. Here, 4 Great Lakes press against more than 3,000 miles of shoreline, and they divide cities from wilderness with a force powerful enough to split the state in two. Most Midwestern states are carved by land, but Michigan obeys a different rule. Water rewrites its borders, its weather, even its identity. Why does this single state live as two, and why does everything here revolve around water? The answer is stranger, and more important than you might think. Water draws every line that matters in Michigan. Instead of fences or surveyor's marks, this state is carved out by 4 of the 5 Great Lakes: Superior, Michigan, Huron, and Erie. Together, these lakes surround Michigan with more than 3,000 miles of shoreline, a distance greater than the entire Atlantic coast from Maine to Florida. But the real scale is almost impossible to grasp at a glance. The Great Lakes hold 20% of the planet's surface fresh water, over 6 quadrillion gallons, enough to cover the entire continental United States in nearly 10 feet of water. Michigan sits not just beside these lakes, but inside their basin. The boundaries here are not drawn where land meets land, but where land gives way to water. It is a closed freshwater system, a kind of inland ocean where the usual rules of geography do not apply. The state's borders ripple and curve like coastlines, creating peninsulas, islands, and bays that connect and divide communities. No other state in America is so completely governed by water. This silent engineer shapes everything from the weather to the way people travel, trade, and settle. The lakes form natural barriers and corridors, isolating some regions while linking others to distant ports and cities. For Michigan, water is both wall and highway, border and bridge. Here, the land story is always told in relation to the water that surrounds it. A 5-mile stretch of water splits Michigan in two, separating the lower peninsula from the upper peninsula. On one side, the lower peninsula is shaped by cities, highways, and farmland. More than 90% of the state's people live here, surrounded by factories, shipping ports, and fields of corn and soy. Life moves with the rhythm of industry and agriculture, shaped by the demands of commerce and the changing seasons. Across the Straits of Mackinac, the Upper Peninsula is a different world. Dense forests cover most of the land, broken only by small towns and abandoned mining sites. Here, winters are longer and harsher, snowfall measured in feet rather than inches. The population is sparse. Just over 3% of Michigan's people call the Upper Peninsula home. Instead of factories and farms, the economy relies on timber, minerals, and the steady pull of tourism. For generations, the water between these peninsulas was a barrier as much as a boundary. Ferries and ice roads connected the two halves until 1957, when the Mackinac Bridge finally linked them. Stretching nearly 5 miles, the bridge stands as both a literal and symbolic connection, a feat of engineering that joins two distinct identities. Yet the divide remains visible in daily life, in climate, in culture, and in the stories people tell about where they belong. Michigan is one state, but it is always two worlds, held together by a single span of steel over restless water. Beneath Michigan's cities and forests lies a record of worlds long vanished. The ground itself forms a gentle bowl, known as the Michigan Basin, layered with the remains of ancient seas. Hundreds of millions of years ago, this land sat under warm, shallow waters. Coral reefs flourished where neighborhoods now stand. As the seas dried up, they left behind thick beds of salt, gypsum, and fossilized marine life, sealing away the memory of a tropical past. In Detroit, the legacy of that ocean is more than a curiosity. It is a daily reality. Nearly 1,200 feet below the city, miners move through tunnels carved from pure salt. The Detroit Salt Mine stretches for more than 1,500 acres, a hidden world where workers harvest the mineral left by evaporating seas about 400 million years ago. Their lamps reveal walls marked by ancient ripples, as if the water never left at all. Every ton of salt that leaves these tunnels is a direct withdrawal from a vanished ocean, now fueling winter road crews and industry across the Midwest. Fossil coral and evaporite layers run through the basin, surfacing in outcrops and quarries across the state. These buried clues tell the story of a landscape shaped not by glaciers or rivers, but by tides and evaporation. For Michigan, the foundation of modern life, including roads, salt, and even the shape of the land, rests on the floor of a sea that disappeared before the first dinosaur ever walked the earth. A billion years ago, the land beneath Michigan nearly tore itself apart. Deep cracks split the earth, and molten rock surged upward, spreading in waves across what would become the heart of North America. These ancient eruptions left behind thick layers of basalt, now buried beneath forests and lakes. The split never finished. Instead, the wound closed, trapping vast seams of copper and iron in the cooled volcanic rock. This unfinished rift became a hidden vault, storing the metals that would shape Michigan's future. Long before modern industry, people found these treasures. Along the southern shore of Lake Superior, indigenous copper workers uncovered veins of nearly pure metal exposed by wind and water. Using stone hammers and fire, they opened thousands of small pits in the Keweenaw Peninsula and on Isle Royale. Some pits ran dozens of feet deep, evidence of generations returning to the same rich seams. For more than 8,000 years, copper from these rift-born rocks was shaped into tools, ornaments, and weapons, cold-hammered, annealed, and traded across a continent. Artifacts moved from the Upper Peninsula to the Ohio Valley, the Gulf Coast, even the Arctic. This was North America's first great metal trade, powered by geology and human ingenuity. When European settlers arrived, they followed the same clues, digging deeper for copper and iron that fueled railroads, steamships, and the rise of Detroit. Every shovel of ore, every forged tool, traced its origin to the day the continent almost split in two. Michigan's industrial story began not in the age of factories, but in the shadow of an ancient rift, where fire and stone first unlocked the power hidden below. Waves slam steel hulls, and the wind howls like a warning. On the Great Lakes, storms arrive with little mercy. A ship captain watches the barometer drop and knows what is coming. A seishi, a standing wave that rises and falls across the water, lifting ships and smashing them back down. In November 1913, a storm known as the White Hurricane swept Lakes Huron, Michigan, and Erie with winds topping 80 miles an hour. 12 ships vanished, some found capsized, others broken on shoals. Nearly 250 lives were lost. On these inland seas, water piles up and crashes back, turning fresh water into a force as deadly as any ocean. Sand climbs the shorelines of Lake Michigan, building the largest freshwater dunes on Earth. At Sleeping Bear, these hills of wind-blown sand rise nearly 500 feet above the water, their edges shifting a few feet each year. The dunes stretch for miles, restless and alive, shaped by every gust that skims across the lake. Sometimes the land beneath them simply disappears. In the late 1800s, the town of Singapore stood at the river's mouth, its streets busy with lumber and trade. Within a generation, the dunes advanced, swallowing homes and storefronts until nothing remained but buried timbers beneath the drifting sand. Cold air sweeps across the lakes, picking up moisture and dropping it as thick belts of snow. Towns on the leeward shores can see over 150 inches each winter, while places just miles away stay nearly bare. In spring and fall, the water acts like a giant battery, slowing the seasons, holding heat, then releasing it in sudden thaws or late freezes. Michigan's weather is never just about the sky, it's the lakes that set the terms. Michigan holds more freshwater coastline than any other state, over 3,200 miles, at a moment when water security shapes our future. Here, geography is not just a backdrop, it is a warning and a promise. The boundaries of Michigan remind us, in a changing world, water always draws the line.